finished up with the new bridge on this Gibson, and new saddle, and partial refret. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for subscribing. And I'm going to rewind the tape so you can see how I did it right from the start. On the bench today is a 1967 Gibson LG-0. These had plastic bridges. Oh yeah! I thought it was ebony because it looked black and everything. It's kind of got this like wood grain, but it also has those screws on the inside. The sheet metal screws that screw it in, and you can also see that the wood on the bridge plate is just gone where the bridge pins and the ball ends of the strings go through, so that'll need a little repair. And we talked about getting the string action a little bit lower, and I'm going to let you take a look at the shape of the neck real quick. The guitar does not sound horrendous by any means. It actually sounds kind of cool. I left a couple strings strung up. I loosened some so I can get that mirror down inside, but sounds alright. The feeler gauge, when you look at the neck, the relief in the neck is kind of high. You know, the action's high, there's a little too much relief. There's probably around 13 thousandths of an inch over here in the middle, and then that was with string tension. I don't have the string tension on there anymore, but the thing is that the relief came all the way up into this area, which makes me think there's once again there's a little too much relief up in this area. We like to see most of it here. So we're going to try a little refret on this. It's never been refretted, and the fret height is down to about, I don't know, 29 thousandths up here where he plays the most. And there's a lot of dents, so I figure if I level those and get those out of there, we'd be down closer to 20 thousandths. And that's getting a little low, and it's in the budget. He's never spent any money on this guitar his whole life, and he's had it since he was a teenager back in 1967, so go ahead and take those bolts out and take a look under the hood. Got the truss nut off. The threads they had a little lacquer on them and stuff. I like to take some oil and kind of clean off the bottom of the nut. See the orange? Kind of an orange, kind of like some rust coming off there maybe. Like to clean the area where the nut seats or screws. And then take a little Vaseline. A little Vaseline on there and tighten it real good. We'll see what shape of a neck we have. Yeah, truss rod tightened up nice. It's a real good sounding guitar, but the action's still a little high here. We'll put that new bridge on and put some new frets on here too, just 'cause. Give her a little test drive just to see. tension on here, we'll do this feeler gauge thing again. I got 10 thousandths, and we've got quite a bit of relief at the 12th fret, even more at the 13th, 14th, 15th. So we really got a ski jump going on right up here. 10 thousandths of an inch. See, we don't even have that at the 5th and 6th, 7th fret, but most of our relief is up here. That's what I'm thinking of. The fret job's going to help create a little compression up here, and then I'll be able to level. I'll just do a partial refret. We have more relief on the treble side than we do on the bass side. I can't get the 10 thousandths feeler gauge through up until I get up here and get it through right here at the body neck joint. So yeah, we got a neck that kind of goes, you know, I think it just ramps up a little here, which it's in neck reset territory. Well, we'll do the frets and see how we do. It was really easier than I would have imagined. I have a truss rod wrench. I should have measured it so I could tell you what size it is. It fit perfectly on the little screws. I was just able to reach it in there and loosen them. It only took a few seconds. Let's measure it. It's about 7 millimeters. 7.4 millimeters, which is in the, I don't know, I guess it's around 0.28, 0.27 of an inch, 9/32. Fixing to use the belly reducer because there is a little bulge going on right here. I put the other piece inside already to see which one I'm going to use. Now I'm going to strip off some of this lacquer. Paint stripper. Put it on. You wait a few minutes. And you scrape it off. Jasco. Don't want to get it too close to the edge, I realized. Might want to take it easy and just scrape the edges. Do most of the work with this stuff. Or we'll say I'll let this stuff do most of the work, and then I'll scrape the edges as needed by hand, because I'm lazy. You know, we've all got character defects, and one of mine is I don't want to do all that work scraping this whole area if I don't have to. But I want some good wood on wood adhesion for the new glue and the new bridge. Alright. Another thing he asked me to do, he's actually saying, how much cost to fix some of these dings, you know? And I was like, well, since it's in the shop, and you're paying me all this money to fix the bridge and do some new frets, I will touch that up for free. Which is one of the things I like to do for my customers, is fix their cases and make some little things like this look better. And if you think this looks better and you want to try it, I'll give you the recipe. And some people like the battle scars on their guitar, which is fine. You can just leave them. But if you want to give this a try, it's about 4 parts lacquer retarder with maybe 1 part lacquer with just a teeny tiny drop of vintage amber, which is just, you know, it depends on what the finish is that you're trying to match. There's a good sized ding right there. There's a good sized ding. A ding-a-ling. And because this is mostly lacquer retarder, it's real thin. It's just flowing right down into these cracks. This is not much lacquer in this at all. This one I could probably drop in some full strength lacquer. Here's some full strength. And this looks like it's sitting proud, but it will shrink down as the solvents evaporate out of it. Here I'll start getting these holes all plugged up using the reamer. They're just about flush. Had the heat lamp going there too. It was kind of set up like that, or heat up the nut. There was a lot of wood glue in there, and it's a water-based glue, so I was able to just squirt in a little water into the gaps, and that took about 5 minutes under heat. I was able to get that sucker out of there. It'll look like that. Pretty clean. I think liquid hide glue's just the right glue for the job. I'm going to wipe up any excess hide glue. there it is. That's what it's looking like in the mirror. Underneath the inside the guitar there's a mirror. It kind of doesn't look like a mirror, but that is a mirror. And in between each plug you can see there's still a lot of tear out, so I'll fill that in, and then I will put this patch over the whole thing. It's 2mm thick hard maple plain sawn, and I've beveled the edges on the belt sander just to make it look smooth. I'll write my website on there for future reference and stick it on in there. Just happens to be the right size. I was kicking around this little template for de-armand Dynasonic pickup, and it's just about this shape. It's just about a 1/4 inch thinner, but I had a little piece sitting around here somewhere that wherever it went. And working the epoxy putty. Progress report today is that I pared down the plugs with my chisel and gave it a sand, with 80 grit on a block and then a 120 grit. Did the same on the inside. It's pretty flush on the inside already, but now I'm going to put in my little plate here. The holes are going to go through over here on this side, so I wrote my website on the other side that's going to land up in this area here. We'll just do some tight bond, I think. Some tight bond original. It'll do the trick. There's what it looks like with just one clamp holding it. The bridge plate overlay I've got that piece of orange tape kind of helping me line it up. And then I'll get 2 more clamps and I'll show you what it looks like. Got it cleaned up with some naphtha. Clean the inside of the soundboard, the existing soundboard. I cleaned off this soundboard overlay with naphtha on a paper towel. Don't want a whole bunch right on the edges, but I would like a little extra in the middle because there's a couple little voids that can fill a couple of those voids. And that's what it'll. That's about it there. Back at it again. Ordered this all parts bridge. Now, before I took the old strings off and everything, I checked the intonation, and everything was playing very sharp at the 12th fret. So the saddle was too far forward. And I was worried, just by looking at this online, I was worried that this slot was too far forward, and it sure as hell is. I got the Saddle-Matic, which is a great tool. You set it on the 12th fret, and then you bring this part of it up to the nut, and then you tighten this down. Then you flip it, and these 2 points, these 2 spikes are added compensation, and they show you exactly where the front edge of the saddle slot should be. And the front edge is supposed to be behind, well behind where it is already. Now, could I install the entire bridge back here? No, because look, not only would that look bad, but the bridge plate inside is right on the edge of these old holes, which would mean these new holes will not even be on the bridge plate. They might be partially, but I don't want to take any chances. I want this bridge to go over the existing footprint, and I'm going to fill this slot and re-slot it. The other thing is the belly reducer did not do its job like it normally does on the first try, so I'm heating them back up, and I'm going to do it again. I've got them in the 150-degree water right here, and this time I'm going to need, because I put in a new bridge plate, I'm going to need a couple extra magnets. That's what I got right here, a couple extra magnets to hold it in place while I get that first clamp in, and then I can remove these temporary magnets and get all 3 clamps going. There it is. It's really no rush, you know. The customer isn't in a big rush. This was his only guitar, and he said, you know, I was thinking about going out and getting a new one. I don't know if this one's worth fixing anyways. And I said, I'll loan you a guitar. So I have this one guitar. It's a Garrison. It's really nice looking. It's a full-size dreadnought guitar, and I loan it to guys on occasion like him. There's very few people that only have one guitar, but he was delighted. Yeah, I'm in no hurry to get paid, so I don't mind doing this a couple more days if I need to. It makes it a lot easier than trying to shape the bottom of the saddle, the bottom of the bridge, to match the warped top. If I can get this top flat, everything's a lot better. So I'll take the time while this is sitting overnight, and I'll fill this in and leave it filled in until I get it glued down. And then I will run the Saddle-matic again and plot out where the slot should be. And then we'll run the Dremel across it. So, yesterday's work turned out pretty good, I guess. I got the bridge glued on, a little bit of Titebond seeped through. I used Titebond original. It seeped through one of those holes, I guess. Yeah. Alright, so I got to re-drill these. The plug worked out great, but the new saddle slot's going to be back behind it. I think I'll stain this whole thing a real dark brown. Let me mix up some stain, and I'll just dilute it with denatured alcohol, and I'll wipe it on. Let's see what that looks like. I've got black India ink, denatured alcohol. I've got 3 drops of black India ink in the denatured alcohol. I've got some low-tack tape holding down this little protective layer. Low-tack tape on old finishes, hopefully it won't peel the finish right off. Now I've got Kalamazoo brown. I'm putting in 7 drops. And I'm going to take a Q-tip, see what kind of color I got here. It's pretty dark. I like it. Man, that was a lot of stain to use on this. I did not need nearly that much. I wonder if I have any other furniture in the house that needs staining. Maybe, well, sometimes they call this ebonizing the wood. Oh, it's leaking through onto my fingers. Alright, I'm going to toss this. See what happens? There's a couple little places where I can probably fill in with some pieces. I like to check my progress and then move it down another half a millimeter. Right now I'm at 1.5 millimeters and my goal is to get to a depth of 3 millimeters. I don't know if I got earplugs in. I probably sound like a fool. Alright. That last swipe seems to have done the trick. 3.7 millimeters. That's just where I wanted to be. 3.36. So this I could fit this now. And while I'm out here in the garage, I'll go ahead and drill these out. Roughening these pins, bridge pin holes, just making sure they're in the ballpark. Once the strings run, we'll fit them a little finer. This one might be history. It might be due for a new set of pins. I think I only have black ones. Actually, I have these kind. Do a little chamfering. Before I go marking up this bridge anymore with scratching it and all that stuff, like I just did when I routed the pickup, the slot, is I got some dark brown shellac. I'm gonna brush it on. This will seal the wood and the color. And it'll protect it. I know the guitar police are probably going to say, "Oh, that's not what you do." You gotta buff it. You gotta leave the wood natural. Guess what? There aren't any real rules when it comes to woodworking. There's different ways people have done it, and then there's the new ways that people do it. Using shellac is nothing new, by the way. It's been used on instruments for hundreds of years. All this other traditional stuff that Martin and Gibson are doing, that's nothing. I mean, that people think, you know, you gotta do it the Martin way. You gotta do what Martin and Gibson do. Well, you know what Martin and Gibson did? What Gibson did in this case was use plastic. I'm using shellac and rosewood. I'm not using ebony. I'm using rosewood. And I'm using shellac. And I'm staining it. So that's what I think looks best. Get a little intonation check, see if you're more in the ballpark of where we're supposed to be. It's all within the range where I think I can make some saddle adjustments. Yeah, but it might, you know. Might be good to go. Still got to work on the frets, but and I think I'll do a little light sanding and a couple more clear coats of shellac on that there. It's kind of rough. Yeah. Trimming off some frets today. It's always a good day. A little something that I noticed while I was putting this nut back on is that this Gibson doesn't have a peg head overlay or a veneer on the top. It's you know, a lot of the Gibsons this will be sunken down in, it seems, because there's a piece over here that they overlay on the more expensive models. Not on the LG-0 and the Melody Maker models, I guess. This is just like a mahogany that's been painted. A little bit of lacquer over the top, so I don't get to see that very often. So there's the jumbo fret wire. That's the StewMac 150 wire. It's big, fat, tall. It's about 100 thousandths of an inch wide, and it's 50 thousandths of an inch tall. So that's their widest, tallest wire. When I was putting that stain on here, I was, you know, had a vision in my mind of what I was kind of looking for. But you never quite know what you're going to get till you get it all together. And I like what I'm seeing here. It's really, you know, this rosewood is really aged and old, and the piece that the bridge, you know, that piece of rosewood that the bridge was made from was really new and from a different time and place. And I think that dark brown, almost black stain really gives it this kind of masculine look. You know, you get the brown and the dark brown and the red, and then I hadn't heard this guitar really with phosphor bronze strings. It had those nickel strings on it, you know, electric strings, I guess. So they were kind of dull. And And the phosphor bronze are real nice and bright. And I like the sound of this. Man, that sounds good. This one came out really nice. He's going to be so happy.